What's up, everybody? Welcome. I'm Keith, aka Biggy Katums from Digital Denizens, and I bring to you the Gamer Stache. I'll be providing you with the latest under the digital and proverbial sun. Today, I will be discussing the infamous, the legendary, the fucking bee's knees of VR HMDs, the Valve Index. Now, people, I know this headset is not the cheapest amongst the PC VR lineup, landing at $1,000. These days, that's as much if not more than a standard build PC, right? When I bought my first PC and built it probably 8 or 9 years ago, I spent about $1,000. And today, I think you can probably get them a little bit cheaper, but for a standard build PC, you could probably spend between $500 to $1,000. So this can be argued that the price is not going to circumvent the features and the equipment that comes with the whole kit. But rest assured, I promise, this VR headset stands to be the best in its class. This is like the Ferrari of VR headsets, let's be honest. If I remember correctly though, the HTC Vive launched at $800 with a similar setup. It had the Lighthouse 1.0 beacons. The Valve Index, on the other hand, comes with the Lighthouse 2.0 beacons, with better tracking, plus the well-known knuckles for index controllers with the full finger tracking. So if you think about it, you're getting a bit extra in terms of an upgrade from the Vive. Plus, if you already own a Vive, then you can just use the Lighthouse 1.0 beacons, the Vive controllers, and then, the Valve Index headset. This is pretty awesome, considering this allows you to kind of piecemeal your setup instead of just dropping $1,000 right off the bat. I mean, come on, guys. Does everybody have $1,000 to throw at an HMD these days? Not exactly. I had to sell my Rift S and save up my pennies just so I could get this baby. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty. This headset is quite durable. It's made with finesse. Just all the curves, just the nuances are really a nice touch added to this headset. It is a bit bigger in terms of most HMDs, in terms of weight, but honestly it's well balanced. Once you put it on, you don't even notice it. Let's see. So on the back here, it's got the ratchet. You can loosen it up, put it on, and it's super comfortable. It kind of just cups the back of your head. And it's super plushy too it's got the synthetic cotton or something like that. That is really nice. So inside the box comes with the headset, the two Lighthouse 2.0 beacons, the knuckles, index controllers. It's got the power adapter for the headset, 2 power cubes, and cables for the beacons, which are quite long. They stretch pretty well across the room, and they're wireless too, so they link up just through your Steam VR setup on your PC and the headset and the controllers. It kind of tracks everything back to Steam VR. It comes with the 2 USB-C type charging cables for the index controllers, which is nice because that's actually the same charger that I use for my phone, so it's quite compatible. Most things are using C-type these days. It comes with the microfiber cloth, which is that one right there, and it also comes with a plushy cushion which sits in the back of the headset. For people with kind of smaller heads, it makes it a little bit more comfortable. It adds a little bit of extra padding. My brother, he's got a little bit of a smaller head, and when we tightened it all the way up, it was still kind of a little bit loose, so that helped to make it a bit tighter fit. So setting this up wasn't too bad. It took me about 30 minutes to set up. Once I got everything, I got the beacons mounted on the walls in one corner of the room and then the other corner, and I think it tracks up to 6 meters if I'm not mistaken. So the Steam VR, in terms of going from the Rift S, which was a super user-friendly experience, it walks you through every step of the way, and so you can set up your room scale, but that uses the inside-out tracking with the cameras on the headset, which this has 2 cameras, which you can use for the pass-through mode, much like the Rift S. So you can see the room without having to take the headset off and kind of have to go through that whole rigmarole. But the Steam VR is not as user-friendly. I'm used to it now after using it and kind of figuring out the inner workings of it, which didn't take very long. But yeah, it took me about maybe 30 minutes to get everything plugged in and then set up the room scale for the Rift S. And it's got many different types of setups in terms of how big your room is. You can do a standing, seated position if you're looking for something like that. But this has, and this also, the Steam VR also works if you want to, because I own a lot of Oculus games through the Oculus app, and I downloaded the Revive software, which goes hand in hand with Steam VR and the Oculus, so you can still play all of your games with the Valve Index. And the Knuckles controllers, the setup is actually much like the button setup for the Rift S, so a lot of the games are kind of intercompatible and they work almost one-to-one. Obviously you can't use the finger tracking in the Oculus games, but it's the closest to any other controller. The Vive ones are a bit different, and they don't have the joysticks or anything like that, so you kind of have to use the teleportation. And the button setup is different too. But so it was easy to set up. That was my only gripe. I think it was a little harder to set up, but they have way more options in the setup, in the settings, that allow you to kind of adjust how you want to use this. In terms of resolution, you can change the refresh rate. So they have a refresh rate of 80 hertz, 90 hertz, 120 hertz, and 144 hertz experimental, which I haven't really messed with the 144 hertz, but the 120 is usually pretty standard, is what I use it at. For Oculus games, I notice I have to kind of drop it down to 90 hertz in order for it to be a smoother experience. During playing Stormland, I noticed that it was a bit buggy, or not buggy, it was kind of, I was having a lot of stuttering when playing Stormland on 120 hertz, and I dropped it down to the 90 hertz, and it was much better. It was a very smooth experience. So this headset has, I'm going to get down into the specs on here. It's got 2 OLED panels, which have a resolution of 1440 by 1600, so that's 1440 per eye, and that really allows to mitigate the screen door effect on this headset compared to most other headsets. So, and I think that's capable because of the resolution of the OLED panels, plus it has more concentric rings on each lens, which allows to mitigate the screen door effect. And I've heard a lot of people complain that the blacks aren't as dark on the Valve Index compared to the Oculus Rift S, but honestly, I don't even notice it. It doesn't bother me. And also the God rays. I know people have complained about that. Also something I don't really notice as much either. So this headset has the adjustable field of view, which you can adjust that how you want it. So usually I will put it on. I usually have to set it up once. I'm usually the only one using it, so it's easy for me. I kind of just leave it where I have it set up. But I'll usually, first time set up, you put it on, bring this all the way back until it hits your face, and then you just kind of pull it forward just slightly. And especially it's good for people who are wearing glasses, because you don't want that resting up against your glasses and causing friction will, scratch the lenses on these. And you don't want to damage these. It's expensive. So, so other than that, we also have the IPD adjustment right here, and that'll adjust the distance between your pupils. And you kind of, I don't know, I went to my optometrist or ophthalmologist, and he told me, basically measured my IPD, so I knew exactly how I needed to have it set up. I know there's sites you can go to where you can measure it, but you can also just kind of adjust it until it's as focused as you can possibly get it. And once you get that set up, really minimal, I've noticed very minimal. I haven't had any motion sickness with this headset. Whereas I know some other people get motion sickness with this headset, none whatsoever. It depends on the game though. Certain games just aren't optimized correctly, and that can cause a little bit of motion sickness. But in terms of clarity on this headset, is amazing. I've noticed going from the Rift S to the Valve Index, text on the screen is much clearer, much more crisp, and that's an awesome thing, especially when you're having to read stuff on the screen. When you're in Steam VR, that can make all the difference. So we also have on the headset is the over-the-ear headphones, and this is nice because the audio comes from the outside and kind of shoots into your ear, and these are fully adjustable to where you want them. These are astounding what they were able to pull off compared to the Rift S. The Rift S had headphones built into the audio strap, and a lot of times I noticed that they were not loud enough. You know, it was almost like too low, whereas these are too loud at times, so I have to kind of crank them down a little bit. But I mean, the sound on this is amazing. It's super clear and very crisp. And I know you can take these off and use your own headphones, but honestly, I don't know why you would. The strap itself, the whole rig back here, is much like the Vive Deluxe head strap, the way it cups your head, and I think that really allows the weight to be balanced on this headset, because yeah, this is a little bit of a bulky headset in the front end, but once you put it on, you don't even feel it at all. And let's see. So on the inside of the strap, we have this kind of plushy cotton, which is really nice and very comfortable. And it's got it on the face gasket, which you can take off if you need to wash it, you know, because it gets kind of sweaty. I know I'm not one to sweat, but this thing does get a little hot at times, and I've had to kind of take it out and wash it a little bit. The only gripe here is that with this padding back here, you cannot remove it, so there's no way to wash it. The only thing I can think of is maybe using like a warm cloth and just kind of dampen it a little bit and then let it dry, but I wouldn't really want to get it really wet in case of damaging the headset itself. So, and then to put this back in here, it just kind of snaps back in place with the magnet. Versus the Rift S, I noticed that was a big issue. You know, when you're trying to pull that face gasket off, you almost feel like you're going to break the damn headset. So this was kind of a nice touch to be able to just snap it in, snap it out, and not have to fuss around with it too much. Now the front here, you have this plastic cover. So this comes off to reveal what Valve, I guess, calls this the front. And it's got a USB-A input in there if you wanted to plug something in. I know some people have made some mods where they put like an LED sign in there. Others have actually made a 3D printed model of this outer part and put in a PC fan in order to cool down the headset, much like I think the Vive Cosmos has like cooling fans built into the front of it, which is kind of nice. And then that just kind of snaps back into the magnets. So really nice. Yeah, great build. Honestly, I can say I don't regret buying this. This is the greatest headset. With the tracking, I don't notice any issues, no issues with the tracking. When I still have the PSVR, which I let my kids kind of use that, but that solely focuses on using the PlayStation Eye camera to track everything and the lights on the headset and the motion controllers. The Rift S has the inside out tracking, which has the cameras on the outside of the headset, and doesn't have any base stations. This has these cameras here to track. You know, they're not tracked, but to use the pass-through mode like the Rift S. But I had issues with the Rift S and the PSVR in terms of tracking. With the PSVR, if you turn too much to the side or too much in a 360, it's not going to track at all. The Rift S, I would notice that there was issues with the controllers if they got too close. If you're aiming down the sight with a gun, it would kind of offset and you kind of get a little stuttery or glitchy. And I also had issues with the touch controllers where they would just freeze and then they would only be able to rotate on axes. And that was really annoying, and sometimes it would happen 20 to 30 minutes at a time. And the only way to reset it is you'd have to take the headset off, rest it down for like 30 seconds to a minute, and then put it back on, and then it would reset. That's kind of frustrating. I really wanted something that was flawless, where I didn't have to fuss around with it, and was just an overall smooth experience. And I have to say, this is it. This is the one to do it. It's impressive what Valve has been able to cram into this headset. The ingenuity behind this thing is phenomenal. And you know, don't let me sway your opinion. I mean, it's up to you if you want to drop the money on something like this. But think about it in the future. I mean, if you're really wanting to get into a headset that is, you know, on the pro level, you know, this is the one to get into for sure. And if you don't have a headset, you know, the Rift S and the Quest for Oculus are really a good standard model. If you're not sure you want to drop that amount of money, that's understandable. Definitely get into maybe a Rift S or a Quest. The Quest is nice because it's fully wireless, and now they have the Quest Link where you can link it up to your PC and use it that way too. So those are really good options, something good to start out with. But if you're looking for something that's going to be a flawless experience and you're not going to have any issues, this is the one to do it in. So this, and the cable on this thing is really nice. It's quite long. I think it's about 6 meters, if I'm not mistaken. It also has a breakaway, just in case you pull on it too hard, it's going to disconnect instead of pulling your whole PC off the desk. And that wouldn't be good. Not at all. So I believe the Lighthouse 2.0 base stations, those are about 6 meters in range for tracking, and they use spinning motors and lasers to track everything. Now the Knuckles controllers, these things are awesome. These things are super durable. So it's got this same material that actually is on the headset for the back and on the gasket. So in order to tighten that, you just pull that, and then you can let go, and you won't even drop it. And then it has a button here, and you just kind of push that, and it releases so you can just slip it on and off. So this thing has some really nice tactile feel, and I can't wait to see what more games do with these controllers. Like Half-Life Alyx, I really hope that they put that through its paces. So this has touch sensors basically all over. So on the handle, it'll track each individual finger, pressure sense when you squeeze. And on the trigger, it's the same way. It'll track when your finger basically goes like that and touches the trigger, a pull, and a click. And it also tracks on the top, you have the thumbstick, you have the touchpad, which it kind of goes in it's like an oval shape, but it kind of goes in a circle, and you can see when you're actually in Steam VR, it'll track where your finger is actually touching on that. And not a lot of games seem to utilize that very much as of yet. A lot of times it's just like a menu button to open up the settings, and you kind of have to push on it. It's not just like you touch it and then open, so you're not accidentally doing that all the time, which is nice. But it's got a B and an A button right on top of each other here next to the trackpad. the joystick, which that was the other thing. So now I've owned this headset for probably about 4 months now. I got it shortly after it launched, and I know a lot of people were having issues with the thumbsticks, where it wouldn't click in every direction. You know, it would sometimes you would move it up and click it, and it wouldn't click it down, and it would register. I know some people were having the issue where it wouldn't register the click in game, and it wouldn't click also when you're clicking it on the touch controller. So that was a big issue, but I think I ordered it kind of shortly after people started RMAing them back to Valve, and I've noticed when I got mine, that was the first thing I checked, and I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe everybody who's getting them now have said that they're all clicking normally. And I remember Valve saying, "Oh yeah, that happened by design." What? That shouldn't be by design. That is not clicking in all directions. That's kind of messed up. This is all what happened according to my design. Okay, Emperor, settle down there. So yeah, those seem to be fixed. They also have, I forgot about this button because it's so tiny, but it's got a little button which opens up Steam VR, like your Steam VR overlay, and then you can check settings and stuff like that while you're in the game. You can change key bindings on your controllers, whether you're using Oculus controllers, Valve controllers, Vive controllers, whatever. And you know, they have the community who will upload, you know, control settings and things like that, which is nice. Also with this band here, when you tighten it, it also has an adjustment, and you just kind of push it in and shift it, and you can kind of adjust where you want it to sit. I usually kind of have it set all the way up. It seems to be comfortable. I have bigger hands than most people, so you know, that's comfortable for me, but you know, you do you. But also, this bar here, I believe, tracks where your finger is in relation to the controller. So I believe this tracks your fingers and the pressure, as well as this bar here, which is pretty nice. But most games seem to be adopting the finger tracking. It's kind of, you know, they've been adding updates to games. They weren't kind of built from the ground up with the finger tracking in mind. Unlike, you know, Half-Life Alyx, that game was made for these controllers. So I've noticed some games do it well, and others are kind of lackluster. It's kind of glitchy. It doesn't work very well, but it also doesn't use like the tactile idea of maybe like picking up things by like pinching them with the finger tracking. Nothing like that. So I'm curious to see what Valve is going to do with these controllers. I think that's really going to put these things through its paces. So overall, do I regret buying this? No, not at all. I'm big into VR. I play almost every day, maybe a couple hours each time I play, and I love this headset. It's great. It's built exactly for what it needs to do. It's built to handle all of the games that you throw at it. It's an astounding piece of hardware, really. If you like this video, just like and subscribe. Drop a comment in the comments section. Let me know what you think. If you have any suggestions or anything that I missed, corrections, anything like that, put them in the comments. And keep your ear to the ground for more to come on Gamer Stache.